أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين شفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين وأصحابه المنتجبين ولعنة الله الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أما بعد، السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بأبي عبد الله الحسين عليه الصلاة والسلام. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. We are discussing the articles of faith. Now, just to clarify a point that somebody pointed out to me, and it's worthy of mention, that I said that there is no punishment for the adulterer within the Quran. What I meant was the death penalty or stoning to death. Of course, the flogging is there within the Quran, so just qualifying that. So we come to the article of belief in Qiyama and the hereafter. Belief in ghaib is far broader than belief in Qiyama per se, because belief in ghaib entails many other things. The unseen, the decree of God, the angels, the being of God himself, so on and so forth. But in particular, we have a tenet of faith known as the belief in the hereafter, or the day of the hereafter, and paradise and hell. Now, the likes of Ayatollah Baqir Sadr, the likes of Imam Khomeini, they will say that this is not an article of faith in terms of being a Muslim is concerned. You can be a Muslim by saying, I believe in God, His unity, and in the Prophet and Risala, and that should be sufficient as a minimum requirement. The likes of Sayyid al-Khoury will say, no, in order to be qualified as a Muslim, in addition to Risala, a person needs to believe in Qiyama. What is important is that beyond these definitions, the Quran, in terms of salvation, makes the article of Qiyama a necessary article to believe in. If you look at the Quran, consistently, the Quran says, he who believes in Allah and the last day and performs righteous deeds. Now, at times, the Quran dispenses with the belief of the last day as well in the story of salvation. He who is submitted to Allah and is a muhsin, is a righteous doer, or commits righteous deeds, amalun salih, and we need to explain that tomorrow, they will have their salvation. Now, if we look at it very carefully, the whole issue of Qiyama is there in order for us to lead a fruitful and a productive life. I ask a simple question. In people who are born within the cradle of animality that we are, what is the impetus to be righteous? Before the noble human soul can awaken to righteousness, what keeps us in check and balance? You will see that it is always a question of incentives and threats, rewards and punishments. This is exactly what happens. We will not feel duty bound or responsible unless we knew there was consequences to our actions. So until and unless we know that there are consequences of our actions, we are not deterred from doing wrong. And unless we know that there is a reward for the good that we do, we are not incentivized to do the good. Qiyamah actually has a very lofty meaning. It means to reach the fullness of our existence, the objective for which we are created. The khilafah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in its absolute sense is known as Qiyamah. But we have misunderstood this terribly. Terribly misunderstood it. As we go into it, let us shed a bit more light so that in the future somebody can come and discuss it further for us and ramify the whole subject far more. You see, we feel that on the day of Qiyamah everything will be open and we'll be seeing God, and that's not the case. Allah says on that day He will not look at them. He will not talk with them. On that day, imagine that day. This is how we have misunderstood it, and we need to really understand it. On that day, the human beings, it is said in the Quran, that children will turn into old people due to the grief of that day. On that day, a pregnant woman shall miscarry her baby and be unaware of it. On that day, a child suckling from the mother will drop, and the mother will be unaware. On that day, Allah says, the dread of that day will be such that people shall appear as if they are drunk. Nay, it will be the intensity of the chastisement of God. That day is so intense. Yet, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks people, did you do this and did you not do this? They will start lying. How can anybody, after witnessing that day, have the ability to lie in front of God and feel that they can get away with it? And hence God will bring forth the scribes and their works and the deeds. And then, even if that is not enough, then Allah will say, I'm placing a seal upon your faces. Now let your hands and feet and your skin speak for you what you have done. So they will say to their skin, why do you bear witness against us? The people will say, the skin will say, the one who induces speech in all things has caused us to speak. Now imagine, that day is so intense, but yet the human being will be deprived of insight that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything that is within him. The nature of Qiyama needs to be understood accurately so that we can understand what it means for us in this life of ours. On the other hand, Allah says to Isa, Isa, did you say to the people, worship me and my mother? Do you know what Isa will be? He will be in a state of awe and shock. He would say, oh Allah, why would I say something of which I have no right? And if I have said it, you know better. You know what is in my soul. I do not know what is in your soul. Oh Allah, enough with the formalistic questioning. You know me. Judge me. This is the basira of Isa salamullah alayhi, who sees God so accurately. But another one standing next to Isa will be deprived of that insight. So Qiyamah, when we say it's an eventual end, trust me, not everybody is getting there in the accuratest of sense. We find the same spread of humanity on the day of Qiyamah as we find here. The same spread from those who are enlightened to those who are totally unaware of what it means to be with God. Qiyamah, therefore, was in the most profound sense meant to be a point of meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At a lesser level, it was meant to be a thing that allows us to lead a balanced life in this world, to become responsible. So the property of Qiyamah to the growth facet within humanity is an accidental one. Qiyamah was only meant to awaken the real moral and the spiritual being within us. It wasn't meant to be an end within itself. The whole notion of Qiyamah operates at several levels. It's an existential feature. So imagine, in order for me to be vested with responsibility, I needed a threat that on that day you will be asked concerning everything that you do. These articles had to be introduced in order for the Khalifa of Allah to become mindful in a younger age, at a younger age. When the person is a child, or the human community is childlike. But when a person is a fully grown person, they don't need the threat of Qiyamah. They live and abide within the real Qiyamah. How? A nobleman will do the right thing for the sake of it being right. A thug will do the right thing because there will be punishment otherwise. We live within Qiyamah in the sense that the human community, even if it wanted to, it cannot operate outside the notion of Qiyamah. You are responsible for whatever you do. Isn't this a facet of our humanity and collective existence? Whether anybody believes in God or chooses not to believe in God, do we not feel a sense of responsibility? Do we not incentivize the human community to do good? Do we not threaten them and deter them from doing evil? This is Qiyamah, heaven and hell within existential realm. We are all abiding by it, whether we like it or not. But these articles have to be introduced in order to initiate us on a loftier and a more beautiful journey. Not only the journey of the bodies, but the journey of minds and souls. At this point in time, the Muslims are governed by Qiyama, which is a very animalistic notion, that in which animals are brought into control, not human beings. The Qiyama for the body is one of punishment and responsibility. The Qiyama for the soul is one of meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a different thing altogether. No. What cause do the people have who have Allah with His paradise? You know, I always say this. I'll give this example again. That if Layla was sitting on a throne and if her Qais went to her and Layla said, Qais, ask me whatever you will, Qais would be a madman if he said to Layla, oh Layla, give me a plot of land. Qais would be deprived of all senses if Qais were to say to Layla, Layla, give me your kingdom. Qais would be mad. Qais will only say one thing. Qais will say, Layla, I have lived for you and have died for you. All I want is you. Imagine the people who find Allah. They are unconcerned with His paradise. Imagine those who find Allah. In the flaming hell they cry, oh Allah, even if I bear this inferno, how do I bear separation from you? How do I bear your indifference to me? That is when the heart opens up. That is what the Khalifa was meant to be. Now, our sense of end, as we develop this topic, our sense of end in eschatology, what are we becoming, will determine our outlook and the way we govern our lives. So now, if we are told that on the day of Qiyamah, majority are condemned, we live in a world that is destined for condemnation. It is inconsistent with our human growth property. It is inconsistent with the facet of humanity that wants to propel it towards growth and goodness. Tell me, what sustains life from today to tomorrow? Hope in a better tomorrow. Confidence in our abilities to change things, doesn't it? But a negative notion of eschatology and Qiyamah will defeat the growth property altogether. How can a noble man arrive in Arabia amidst monster-like people about whom Quran says, you are on the verge of falling into hell, had we not sent our messenger who put his hand inside the pits of hell and took you out and made you into finest humans? How can that man's grandson come and put everybody to death? We have gone wrong somewhere. Qiyamah was not the way we've understood it. The eschatology of Mahdi is not the way we have understood it. It's a very positive eschatology that is taking birth from the aspirations of humanity to do good and to be well. When people say the hell will be filled, I ask them, the litmus test is this. In your country, how many prisons do you have? Out of the millions of people that you have, how many are in the dungeon? And how many are good citizens in the world? After 7 billion people, how many are living normally and how many of them are in the prisons? From our community, how many are in the prison and how many are here? You will find not even 1% are inside the prison. That prison is hell. This is normal life in paradise. This is how paradise and hell is. Hell will have far fewer people. And that is why Allah is saying to hell, Hal imtala'ti, are you filled? And she says, Hal min mazid, are there more? Because I'm still empty. Don't you read this verse of the Quran? The hell cries out, are there more? Oh Allah, I'm still empty. Hell is supposed to be empty because humanity is supposed to drive forward to a beautiful end. Now imagine. I was in a country and I asked the people, I said, look, youths, I said, you've done your first degree. Why don't you go towards your master's and your doctorate? I said, well, what's the point? The 12th Imam will come. He will kill everybody. And everybody is evil. I said, at that point, it is me and my teaching that is driving them to this end. And we say to them that everything is evil. Everything is bad. And the 12th Imam will come and wipe it all clean. What incentive is left to do any good? When we feed these teachings to people that every day is going to be worse than the days that's gone before, what do you expect? Today, what the Buddhists are doing to the Muslims, the whole human community is crying out against them. Even if they are not Muslims, they're crying out. The amazing thing is that when we are faced with tragedies, the Muslims, the non-Muslims come to their assistance. You know that? When the tsunami came, look at how much charity was given by the non-Muslims to the Muslims as opposed to the Muslims to the Muslims. When our Prime Minister, Tony Blair, wanted to go to war with Iraq under the pretext of Saddam possessing weapons of mass destruction, we protested that you cannot go to war against a country like that. Of million people, how many Muslims were there? How many? Barely 10,000. That's an exaggerated figure out of 1 million people who protested. Those million people are not Muslims. Yet their humanity, in whatever way they are branding it as Christians, but most of them are secularists, their humanity stood against this wrongful act. Humanity has an inbuilt sense of righteousness and goodness inside it that is coming to the fore at every era. The more we become globalized, the more distinction of color, location, religion, nationality is fading away. We are becoming global citizens. Whenever minorities are not given their rights, the rest of the world cries out for the rights of minorities. Whereas previously it was a law of the jungle, the majority ruled, the strong ruled by might. Today it's all changed. This is godliness and the khilafah of Allah growing from within us. Alhamdulillah, humanity is arriving at a pedestal where they do not need the sense of Qiyama in that way to feel responsible for whatever they are doing. They feel responsible through their human condition. Today, good humanitarians do not need incentive of reward to be good. A lot of them don't even believe in a hereafter in the way we believe. They don't even believe that by giving their lives for the sake of humanity they'll be rewarded. They are doing it because their human godly nature prompts them to do it. Noble people do not sin because there's a fear of hell. They do not sin because sin is below them. The Prophet never introduced these articles at that animalistic level, at the level of governing the bodies. He introduced them at a noble level, but they worked nonetheless at that base level as well. But when we have this negativity in our minds, we will never progress. Isn't it a surprise that people who believe in Qiyama are the most merciless people? How odd is the story? The people who believe in heaven are the least charitable. The people who believe in hell are the most unforgiving people. What's gone wrong? It is because we have totally misunderstood these things. Qiyamah is a beautiful point of meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, look at today's modern community. Humanity is evolving. We are finding that only a few are ruining it for the majority. People often tell me that majority of humanity is bad. I will say, no, it's only a few that are ruining it for the majority of the people. But the majority are to be blamed for their complacency and doing nothing. They're just happy with the situation. They should be doing something. Make a move. Today, with social media, we are seeing a huge pressure being exerted on our governments. When our government sells arms to Saudi Arabia to kill those poor Yemeni people and children, we are the ones who are responsible. We are against this act. We should mount protests and tell our government, change your policy or we'll vote you out. Majority of the people are good. The few are ruining it for the majority. At the head, you will find heads of states and heads of religion that ruin it for everybody. The heads of state through their insecurity and want of this world, and the head of religion through the ungodly nature. Check this out. These are equally ungodly people that are ruining life for the majority of humanity. God forbid, if there's a mighty war that is caused in the world, none of the human race wants it. None of us want it. But they will cause it. And who will suffer? All of us. And then history will write that these were the most unenlightened people in the era of humanity, whereas we are the most enlightened people in the era of humanity. Qiyamah, hell and heaven are in action. We are practicing it right now, whether we like it or not. You see, today's human being has evolved to a beautiful level where we find moral righteousness coming to the fore as we grow. We do not need to be incentivized. What we say is, we will do good for the sake of good. We will refrain from evil because it is evil within itself, not because there is any threat. Now we ask, what is the real meaning of Qiyama and where do we want to go? If you look at even the story of hell, I'm sorry, I don't have time to look at my notes today. Even if you go to the story of hell and we see what is hell about, we will find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like this world, does not allow people to abide in hell forever, not all of them. In this world, we have a prison sentence, don't we? The sentence is finished. Goodness then comes and reform comes, or hopefully reform comes. And people are reintroduced into the community, or at least that's the hope. And this is the nature with which God has made us and endowed us with. This is the same nature of God. In hell, people will not live there forever. And Allah makes that exception in the Quran. لَابِثِينَ فِيهَا أَحْقَابًا. They will live in there for ahqab. And after ahqab, they will be taken. If hell was forever and everybody is going to abide in the same hell, then tell me, why are there levels of hell? It's all relativistic. I need to point out one thing quickly before we go on to the great man of this night. Yes? One or two things. So now when we come to sin, when we come to good deeds, in the story of Qiyamah, heaven and hell, this is not good deed for the sake of good deed. If we look at it very closely, a good deed is supposed to operate at several levels. One is a material level. The one is moral level. And another one is a superior spiritual level. So when we give zakat, whether we give it with a good intention or not, or care for humanity or not, it will nonetheless feed the poor. It's serving its purpose. If we give zakat with care of humanity, then that is serving two purposes. It is feeding humanity and it is instilling this refined sense of care within our souls, which is a notch higher. But there is a third level of wanting to become God-like. And when we give something in zakat, we see ourselves as means from God. And we see ourselves indebted to God for this favor that God is bestowing upon us to be His hand to give to another. And through it we seek God Himself. That is the meaning of Qiyamah. To meet with Allah at every point. So now sin and good deeds are not what we have understood them. Sin and good deeds go beyond actions. And this thing needs to be understood. Sin's detrimental effect is not to be determined by the act. It is to be determined by the intention. The real sin is within the intention more than the act. The real good deed is within the intention more than the act. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, مَا عِنْدَكُمْ يَنْفُضُ وَمَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ بَاقٍ. Whatever is with you shall perish, whatever is with Allah shall remain. It is that intention that connects us with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now imagine, somebody only has £1 or £10 to give in charity. But they give it with such sincere intention. They have paradise. You know the dream of that alim, don't you? He was writing a book and he fell asleep. It was a day of Qiyamah. No, he was writing a book and a drop of ink dropped. A fly came and started feeding from the drop of ink. His instinct was, shoo it away. But then this godly sentiment prevailed upon him. And he said, no, it's a creature of God, partaking of sustenance that God has given it. So he left it. He fell asleep. It was the day of Qiyamah. The angels in front of God are saying, we are trying to find His good deeds, but there are no good deeds. Every single deed of His is mixed with some form of impurity. Allah says, nonetheless, find something. Because Allah is always insistent, like a parent. There must be something good there. That is how Allah is. In any case, they say, yes, there is one deed. Allah asked them, does it qualify him for paradise? They said, yes. This man was in tears. He said, what is that good deed? They said, that drop of ink that you allowed that fly to feed off. It was a sincere deed, and that allows you to go into paradise. There's a hadith of the Prophet that if anybody smiles at another person, yes? Don't go around smiling at women, at each other, yes? And they say, I love you for the sake of Allah, so you definitely stick to man, all right? Allah will give them paradise. Paradise is earned so easily. We need to understand that when we talk about Qiyama, we are talking about God consciousness. That we are aware of the presence of God and the meeting with God. And anything done subsequent to that acquires a very deep-seated meaning because it connects us with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is how Qiyama was supposed to be understood. The most beautiful way. We are not going to judge neither ourselves nor others in that way because we don't have access to their intentions. What we have to do is to purify our own inner intentions, make them godly and move towards godliness. Now, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about heaven and hell, honestly, read it again and again and again and again. Yes? Allah will say, this is the hell that you have prepared for yourself. He will say, taste in paradise what you have earned yourself. We are making our hell and heaven. It is internal. Yes, there is a place like hell. There is a place like heaven. It is just like this Imam Hassan Center. Everybody interacts with it very differently in accordance with their own sentiment. Two people are placed within dungeon. A nobleman and a thug. The thug enjoys himself. The nobleman finds it the biggest adab. They're not having the same punishment. They are in different punishments. Two people appear before their mother. One who doesn't understand the meaning of a mother. The other one who has struggled and come flying continents to be with his mother and she's about to die. They are not the same in their sentiments. Paradise and hell is in the making. We are making it constantly with our own attitude and our own inner beings. You've heard that story. That when the Khalifa asked Bahlul, he said, where have you come from? He said, from hell. He said, oh, was it hot? He said, no, there's no heat in hell. There's no fire there. He said, that's odd, isn't it? He said, yes, I found it strange as well. I asked the inmate and the keeper of hell, why is there no fire? He said, no, hell doesn't have any fire. The people bring their fire with them. And this is what the Quran says, وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَ وَعِدَّةِ الْكَافِرِينَ. Fear hell whose fuel is man and rock. So long as man is not there, there is no fuel to burn it. Hell is here. We project it through this ungodly attitude. Tell me, if a person cannot forgive a creature of God, is that hell or not inside themselves? If I can see another creature of God burning and I can take rejoice that these are all going to hell, isn't that imposed hell in my own state or not? The fact that I am in hell, I want to put everybody else in hell. If I was in paradise, why would I want any of my beloved brothers and sisters, the reflections of my beautiful God, to burn? I find it strange. Sometimes I say this. I say, I love my Hussein. Honestly, more than myself, I'll be cut into thousands of pieces for him and consider it to be an honor, a great honor. If Allah only gives that honor. But then I injure the heart of the lover of my Hussein. Doesn't that just show I've never loved Hussein, I've only loved myself? If I had loved him, then his lover would be my master. If somebody came and cried for my father more than I cry, I'd feel indebted to that person. When I say I'm a lover of God, I'm not a lover of God. I'm a lover of my own self. So hell and heaven are in the making. Today, the Muslim community needs to assess itself. It has moved away from the pedestal of godliness. Qiyama means acquisition of that level of presence of God within the being, that they become God-centric and they create their own paradise within themselves and upon the earth. And that was the meaning. of the khilaf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is indeed a very great night, and I'm going to spend some time in the remembrance of our master of this night. So please bear with me, salawat. Hazrat Abbas, salamullah alayh. The sixth Imam was asked, what was Abbas? This is what he said. Al-Jabal al-Azim. He was like a lofty mountain. وَقَلْبُهُ كَتَوْدِ الْجَسِيمِ. And his heart was like a momentous wave. لَأَنَّهُ كَانَ فَارِسًا هُمَّامًا. He was a champion swordsman. وَبَطْلًا ضَرْغَامًا. A fearless warrior. وَكَانَ جَسُورًا عَلَى الطَّعْنِ وَالضَّرْبِ. And he was audacious amidst the spears and the blades that struck في ميدان الكفار والحرب, in the ranks of the enemies and in battlefield. We hear this is the stature of Abbas, that when he used to stand, people would be filled with awe of Abbas. Person reports that the grave of Abbas had become damaged. So I went underneath to fix it. And accompanying me was Sayyid Bahar al-Ulum. He said, "Oh, Master, if it's not audacious, may I ask a question?" He said, "Indeed." He said, "You recite from the pulpits that Abbas' stature was so lofty that as he saddled upon his horse, his feet would touch the earth." He said, "Indeed." He said, "Then why is his grave so small?" Ahlul Ulum struck his head against the grave of Abbas. And he said, فَقَطَعُوهُ إِرْبًا إِرْبًا. They cut him into pieces. He did not fall from his steed. The parts of his body fell to the ground. The Imam says, indeed, on the day of Qiyama, Abbas will have such a rank that people will look at his light upon the arsh. They will say, "Who are these lights?" The awliya and the awsiya. It will be said, "These are the shuhada of Karbala." They will say, "Whose is that light at the helm of the arsh, shining so brightly?" It will be said, "That is the light of Abbas ibn Ali." The Imam says, وَإِنَّ لِلْعَبَّاسِ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ لَمَنْزِلَةً يَغْبِطُ بِهِ جَمِيعَ الشُّهَدَاءِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. He has such a rank that all the shuhada will be envious of on the day of Qiyamah. كَانَ عَمِّيَ الْعَبَّاسِ نَافِضُ الْبَصِيرَةِ سُلْبُ الْإِيمَانِ. My uncle Abbas had penetrative insight into things and was steadfast and staunch of faith. When we ask about the names of Abbas, we are told by his nephews, the Imams, his names are Abu al-Fadl, father of Fadl; Abu al-Qirba, bearer of the water skin; Abdul Salih, the righteous servant of Allah; Al-Muwasi, the consoler of Hussein; Al-Fadi, the one who sacrifices himself for Hussein; Al-Hami, the helper of Hussein; Al-Waqi, the protector of Hussein; As-Sa'i, the one who strives in the way of Allah; Qamar Bani Hashim, the radiant moon of the Hashimis; Hamilul Liwa, the bearer of the standard; Babul Hawaij, the door for the acceptance of all wishes; Saqqa, the one who quenches the thirst. It is said about some of these alqab, when Imam Ali wished to marry again, he went to his brother Aqil and he said, "Find me a woman from a noble lineage of warriors that will bear me a worthy child." He found the mother of Abbas, Banid, and she gave birth to Abbas. I have read this, that Ali carries Abbas in his arms, in his hands, then kisses his arms and begins to weep. He says, "By Allah, he will have them cut in the love of his brother." The announcement is heard in Medina by Bashir. Ya Ahla Medina, Ya Ahla Yathraba. La muqama lakum biha. O people of Medina, there is no place for you in Medina. Leave Medina. Zainul Abidin waits at the outskirts of Medina. Hussein has been put to death. An old woman comes. Silence, Bashir. This cannot be true. Maid of God, indeed Hussein has been killed. Where was my Abbas? Your Abbas was killed. How can anybody put Abbas to death? O maid of God, his arms were cut through treachery before his head was struck. He said, by God, if Abbas's arms were cut, then how did he arrive upon the plains of Karbala? I will say, Baneen, had you been there on the 11th of Muharram and seen how Zainab's hands were tied behind her back and how she descends upon the plains of Karbala upon the body of her brother, you would not have asked such a question. He was the bearer of standard. It has a long history. Ali has said in his khutbah, let the most bravest and the noblest and the pious of you bear the standard, for with it is the morale of the whole army. As the standard falls, so does the army. In Badr, Imam Ali bore the standard. In Siffin, many people bore the standard. Until in Siffin and Nahrawan, Muhammad ibn Hanafiya bore the standard. In the battle of Siffin, Imam Ali sat. And he said to his companions, observe the battle of my Hassan and Hussein. They observed. They said, O Ali, if it is not disrespectful, may we say something? He said, indeed. He said, we admire the battle of Hassan, his swordsmanship. But as far as Hussein is concerned, there is a man who follows him like a shadow and does not allow anybody to come near to him. He said, that is my Abbas. They said, Ali, why do you send your Abbas and Muhammad to war and keep back your Hassan and Hussein? He said, they are the children of the Prophet. These are my children. They are my eyes. These are my hands. It is the duty of the hands to protect the eyes. Ali was known for his swordsmanship. He would enter the battlefield and effortlessly put his opponent to death, to the extent that when Ali would appear in single combat, nobody would dare approach him. So Imam Ali used to wear a face mask. Person with a face mask appears into the battlefield and calls his equal. The most renowned warrior, Abu Sha'sa, appears. As he rides in front of him with a single strike of the blade, beheads Abu Sha'sa. There is a cry within the ranks of the enemies, appear not. He is Ali disguised. As there was this commotion within the ranks of the enemy, Ali rides up from the back, comes to this person, places his hand upon his face mask and begins to remove it. And this is how it is described, as if the full moon is appearing from behind black clouds. As Abbas's face shines through, Ali says, Ana Ali ibn Abi Talib, wa hada qamar bani Hashim. Abbas's stature. It is said when the spoils of war were brought inside the palace of Yazid, alongside the captives, Yazid looked from afar. He saw something, he stood up. He sat down again. His eyes fell at that thing again, he stood up. He fell down. For the third time he said, whose standard is that? There is not a place intact on that standard, save for the place where it was held by its holder. They said it was the standard of Abbas. It did not fall save when the arm of Abbas was cut. He says, Wallahi ya Abbas, abayt al-la'an. Abbas, by God, you refuse to surrender. This is how a brother pays a tribute to his brother and defends his brother. This was strength of Abbas. No wonder when Zainab was told that your veil will be extracted, She was baffled and she would say, "Where will Abbas be?" No wonder when the children were told, "You will remain thirsty," they used to think, "Where will our uncle Abbas be?" No wonder Hussein refuses to give up. It is said that every time there were cries of jubilation, Shimr would ask, "What has happened?" And he did not smile on that day, save at one point where from Al-Qama there was a cry of victory. Shimr said, "What has happened? Abbas has been put to death." He smiles for the first time. Now Hussein will not escape. You look towards the tent for the first time. Hussein holds his back and says, "Ala alan, inkasara dhahri." Now my back has broken. But the bravery of Abbas is where? Think about this. Look at Abbas, the arms of Abbas, the strength of Abbas, the resolve of Abbas. Where is the strength of Abbas? Abbas is keeping guard behind the tents on the morning of Ashura. Zuhair ibn Qayn comes. He says, "Oh Abbas, do you know why your father asked you from Allah?" Abbas says, "Zuhair, it's a sensitive point. But since you have mentioned the name of my father, I have no option but to pause and listen to you." He said, "Abbas, your father sought you for such a day. He places his feet inside the stirrup to such an extent that the horse comes upon its knees. Zuhair, do you wish to incite me at such a point? I shall show you something that you have not seen before." Somebody swears at Hussein. Abbas chases him, takes his spear from his hand and beheads him. And he kills 80 people and said to Zuhair, "Zuhair, do not incite me again." But where was the strength of Abbas? Imagine a person with those arms that Abbas has. Imagine when those arms are severed. Imagine when those arms are the protectors of Hussein. His right arm is cut. He cries out, "Wallah law qata'tum yamini, inni abadan uhami an dini." By Allah, even if you cut my right arm, I shall defend my religion and my Imam Hussein from the righteous progeny. His left arm is cut. He says, "By Allah, through their treachery they have cut off my left arm, O Lord." But Abbas's true strength is beyond his arms, is in the way in which Abbas controls himself. In the office of Walid, the lion of God, and Ali rages. His eyes are filled with rage. Hussein places his hand upon the chest of Abbas. "Abbas, control yourself. It is the 7th of Muharram. Unhinge your tents. Never. I shall initiate a battle against you. You will not move my brother from the banks of Al-Qama." Hussein, "Abbas, remove the tents." Abbas is refusing. We hear from the Zakirin. Says Zainab, "Control your brother." When Zainab's message goes to Abbas, he is unhinging the tents and tears are rolling down his eyes. This is the control that Abbas has upon himself. The great strength of Abbas is in Abbas's resolve. Abbas has many other merits, but I will say this. That look at the position Abbas has been given by Allah. When we go for ziyarah of Hussein, and for any Imam, we do not give reverence to their Sahaba. But in Karbala, it has been placed in such a way that we are forced to visit Hussein and then visit Abbas independently. This great man had a dream of Lady Fatima, this great alim, and she does not look at him. Trembles and says, "Oh lady, have I done something wrong?" She says, you do not visit my son. But dear lady, I go for ziyarah of Hussein every day. You visit my son Hussein and you visit my son Abbas very little. This is Abbas. Imam Sadiq goes, does ziyarah of Hussein at his head, then goes into the shrine of Abbas. Does ziyarah of Abbas from all four corners. Look at that Al-Qama, through which Abbas's arms were cut. If you go into the grave of Abbas, you will find Al-Qama going, kissing the feet of Abbas. But Abbas's merits are great. And I wish to explain one. We find in this description, बनी असद के काफिले के लोग जमा हैं 11वीं मुहर्रम को 13वीं मुहर्रम को, लाशें बेसर हैं, रोंदे हुए हैं, नहीं समझ पा रहे किनका लाशा कौन सा है, कैसे दफनाए, उनसी निशानी डाले। एक घोड़े सवार आते हैं इमाम ज़ैनुल आबिदीन एजाजी तौर पर, कहते हैं मैं आपको बताता हूँ। एक चटाई मंगवाते हैं, उस पर हुसैन को लिटाते हैं, क्योंकि हुसैन का बदन इस कदर पारा पारा हो गया था कि सज्जाद उठा नहीं पा रहे थे। हुसैन के लाशे को जमीन में रखते हैं और एक छोटा सा लाशा 6 महीने के बच्चे का हुसैन के सीने पर रखते हैं। पैरों के बल अकबर को दफनाते हैं। बनी असद के लोग दौड़ते हुए आते हैं, कहते हैं ये शख्स सब लाशें उठा के ले आए, एक लाशा है लबे अलकमा जो हिलने से इनकार कर रहा है। सीने से उठाते हैं, पैर जम जाते हैं जमीन पर, पैरों से उठाते हैं, सीना जम जाता है। कहा वो हम तक नहीं आएंगे, हमें उन तक जाना पड़ेगा। सज्जाद आते हैं, अब्बास के लाशे को देखते हैं, जमीन पर गिरते हैं, कहते हैं वाह अब्बासा, वाह गुर्बता। ए अब्बास, आपके चले जाने के बाद आसमान मुनव्वर हो गए, जमीन तारीख हो गई। ए अब्बास, काश आप देखते जो मैंने देखा, वो सुनते जो मैंने सुना। आपकी बहनों पर कैसे कोड़े बरसे या अब्बास, किस तरह पुकारती रही वाह अब्बासा, वाह अब्बासा। Hussein's army has finished. Nobody has left. Abbas comes to Hussein and he says, oh brother, allow me to defend you. Hussein looks into the eyes of his Abbas and he says, Ya akhi, benafsa anti ya akhi. May my life be qurban for you, Abbas. Oh Abbas, if you go, the morale of my army shall break. Abbas looks, he says, oh brother, there is no army left. It is only you and I. Hussein is weeping, looking at his brother as if he's not going to see him again. There is a cry from the tents. Oh Abbas, take news. Has a child died of thirst? Abbas goes inside. What does he find? He finds little children rubbing the water skins against their stomachs in order to find little bit of moisture. He says, oh children, fear not. I shall bring back some water for you. He comes to Hussein. He says, oh Hussein, allow me to bring back some water for these thirsty, dying children. Hussein knows that this is his separation from his Abbas. As Abbas begins to prepare, he kisses Hussein on his forehead, then looks towards the sky and says, oh Allah, allow me to bring back some water. Hussein rides next to Abbas and goes to some distance until an attack is mounted on both of them. Abbas goes straight towards the Euphrates. Hussein is struck with arrows and is deterred from following Abbas. Abbas goes on, removes the blockade from the Alqama, enters within the Alqama, looks at the water, and in order to spur his horse to drink the water, he cups the water in his right hand and brings it towards his mouth. Then he looks at the water and he says, Ya nafsu, in ba'dil Hussein huni. Oh soul, prepare for that. This is Hussein facing death. Shall you drink of the cold water, Abbas? He throws the water. Wallah, ma hada fi'alu dini. By Allah, my religion does not allow me to do such a thing, that my Hussein thirsts and I drink. Abbas fills the water skin, comes out of the Euphrates. As he is making his way towards the tents, he wards off the blows of the enemy until somebody from behind the tree strikes Abbas's right arm. As Abbas's right arm is struck, Hussein from afar sees the standard descending. He cries out, Wa Abbasa! And he sees the standard lift again. Abbas moves forward, and another one strikes his left arm. The standard begins to fall. Abbas grabs the water skin with his teeth and directs himself towards the tent. As he's moving towards the tent, we find this, that they have surrounded him and they are striking him. There are two arrows that are released. One pierces the water skin. The other one pierces his blessed eye. When the water flows, Abbas stops his steed. We are told, فَقَطَعُوهُ إِرْبًا إِرْبًا. They surround him and they cut him into pieces. An iron mace is struck upon the blessed head of Abbas. Abbas's horse is bewildered. He carries Abbas away and drops him in a place. Hussein from afar, when he sees the standard of Abbas fallen, he grabs his back and he says, Alan inkasara zahri wa qallat hilati. My means are severed, my back is broken. He ascends his steed. Hussein sees not, he has lost his Akbar. He is unable to contain himself upon his steed. सर झुकाए हुए आगे बढ़ रहे हैं हुसैन. वाह अब्बासा कहते हुए, जुलजना अखी की तरफ ले चलो मुझे. जुलजना रुकते हैं, कहते हैं जुलजना क्या मेरे भाई के पास आ गए. जमीन पर आए हुसैन का जुलजना अब्बास नहीं है यहाँ. और फिर देखते हैं तो कहते क्या पाते हैं, अब्बास का कटा हुआ बाजू. कहते हैं वाह अब्बासा वाह अब्बास. ठोकरे खाते हुए अब्बास के सराहने पहुंचते हैं. अब्बास का सर उठाते हैं, अपनी गोद में लेते हैं. अब्बास सर हटा देते हैं. कुछ कह रहे हैं अब्बास. हुसैन सुनते हैं. अब्बास कहते हैं शख्स कुछ देर ठहर जा, मेरे भाई का आखिरी दीदार कर लूं, उसके बाद सर कलम करना. कहा है अब्बास मैं आपका हुसैन हूं, आ गया. कहा मौला माफ करना, एक आंख में खून है दूसरे आंख में तीर. हुसैन ने अब्बास का सर लिया, सीने के साथ लगाया और जोर से आहो बुका करने लगे. इस तरह हुसैन रोए कि आदा और अशकिया रोने लगे. कहा अब रोते हो मेरा अब्बास छीनने के बाद. हुसैन बैन कर रहे हैं कि अब्बास के आंखों में आंसू टपकने लगे. कहा है अब्बास किस शे ने आपको रुला दिया. कहा है हुसैन क्यों कर न रोऊं, जबकि आपने मेरा सर उठाया है, खून और खाक से साफ कर रहे हैं, और मैं जानता हूं अनकरीब आपको भी शहीद करेंगे, लेकिन कोई न होगा जो आपका सर उठाए. ये हैं अब्बास. अब्बास तम तोड़ने लगे. थोड़ी देर के बाद जागते हैं. कहते हैं हुसैन क्या इरादा है.
कहते अब्बास आपको उठा के ले जाना चाहता हूं। कहा हुसैन मुझे यहीं पर छोड़े, सकीना से मैंने वादा दिया था पर पूरा न कर सका। आपकी सकीना से मुझे शर्मिंदगी है, और अगर ज़ैनब मुझे इस हाल में देखेगी तो ज़ैनब का हौसला टूट जाएगा। हुसैन ने अब्बास का अलम उठाया, घोड़े पर सवार हुए, धीरे धीरे बढ़ने लगे ख़याम तक। जब दूर से अलम को देखा तो सकीना दौड़ती हुई आई, और सकीना के पीछे बच्चे थे और उनके पीछे ज़ैनब थी। सकीना ने जब अपने बाबा को पाया, कहा है बाबा मेरी चच्चा की कोई खबर है आपके पास, मारे गए लबे फुरात। ज़ैनब ने कहा है हुसैन मेरे भाई को वापस क्यों नहीं लाए? कहा मरते दम भी आप ही की फिक्र थी उनको है ज़ैनब। ज़ैनब ने मुंह पर तमाचे मारे, कहा वाह खा वाह दयाता वाह अब्बासा, या सैयदी या अब्बास। Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi. Hi Sakina, hi Sakina, hi Sakina, hi Sakina. Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi. Ya Abbas, 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 Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Abbas, 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 Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Abbas, 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 Ya Sayyidi, 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 Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas. Hi Sakina, hi Sakina.
Ya Abbas, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Abbas, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Abbas, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Abbas, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Abbas, Ya Sayyidi.
Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas. Hi Sakina, hi Sakina, hi Sakina, hi Sakina, hi Sakina. Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas. Ya Abbas, 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 Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas.
Ya Sayyidi, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya
Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, Hay Saki.
Shah Abbas, Shah Abbas, Shah